Right, so what is up, guys? This is Mr. T coming at you live from NYC. Welcome back to Convos, our podcast over here at TimTalks. And hey, welcome back to another episode. So I hope you cool cats out there are doing awesome. Like I said, I'm always going to, greet you guys, tell you how much I appreciate you guys, just for, again, leaving your comments, leaving your suggestions, whether it be through YouTube or, my personal PM and DMs. Just because, like I said, this whole thing couldn't have been built without you guys. And so I will always extend my heartfelt support and appreciation to all of you guys out there. So hey, I hope you guys are doing awesome, whether it be in the morning, afternoon, and evening. And as you guys can see, the channel, the podcast is growing strong. Many people are getting engaged, and many people are starting to see the truth out there, which is, absolutely awesome. And I'm also mastering how to do some professional edits. But if you guys also have suggestions on what I could do to improve the podcast, again, I'm using the most basic equipment. Honestly, you don't really need a whole lot to start. You just need a voice, the passion, and then you can move on ahead, right? But hey, so this topic is focused on insecurity. So this episode is focused on insecurities, and I made it a habit now of wanting to state what the topic is before I get into depth and into detail on what exactly is going to be discussed. So again, I hope that helps as well, just to keep track of what's going to go on through the episode. And again, if you guys have any other suggestions, let me know, hit me up, and I'll see what I can do. All right. My voice might not always sound the most convincing, but like I said, I will always extend my help to you guys out there if you so need it, right? Okay, so what we have here is the comments. So let me go ahead and read this out loud, all right? So, Mr. T, my parents keep shizzing on me. Again, censoring for YouTube purposes. They keep shizzing on me, and I don't know what the hell's the problem. I mean, they say that I'm too obsessed with makeup. I have all these toners, moisturizers. You get it. The thing is, I'm afraid of being judged by everyone around me. They don't know how the world works, but there are times I wonder if I do have a problem. Am I just being insecure or what? Right? So the thing is, let me just go ahead and address that, directly. There are times when I can be insecure about myself. Like as you guys know that I'm a teacher, and throughout my experience, sometimes I just get a little insecure if I see someone does something like a little bit differently. But I try to work my way around that. I try to go past that, try to get everyone else's input, hence why I did the podcast. Because other people have other ways of doing things, and I shouldn't be so insecure about the way I teach just because other people can do it as well. And I learned that. And again, the more you learn, the more you know, right? And so having said that, and having seen all these teachers do their own thing and getting to showcase what they can do, again, it makes me feel better knowing that other people can do it, right? Because we need more good teachers out there, right? And again, I'm not choosing on teachers that, but I do know that some are bad, and I've heard that from other students, which sucks. But back to what this person was saying over here. So the thing is, when I'm reading this comment, um the way that it sounds, right? First off, I always hear parents argue sometimes, especially when it comes down to when their children does something that doesn't look familiar. Again, it's that old gen versus new gen type of stuff, right? So it's usually where those two kind of conflict, and that's usually where the problem stems from. The thing is, you know I also understand. Well, I don't use makeup, but I have seen people who use them, right? And you know there's a fine line when saying it's an insecurity, right? So you guys don't know what an insecurity is. An insecurity basically is when the person doesn't feel safe, or they're very afraid if they don't do a certain thing. And it's usually where um you have that same person just being afraid that they don't get to do it. Not just that they didn't do it, but that they didn't get to do it today. And they feel so afraid. It's kind of not like a phobia, but just like, I need to do this because it sort of becomes like an addiction, right? An addiction, insecurity. You can kind of see how they connect in a way. So, for example, one way to say that makeup is innocent insecurity is when, say, the person is like afraid to go out, and they're afraid just because that they might be judged or whatever. And normally that's fine, right? That's okay to put it in mind when, for example, you're out there, especially if it's a very public place, and that's understandable, right? But when you can't even step foot out the door, without having the fear of people will get to see you, and then they see all the blemishes and whatever, right? Which again is part of the way the body works, right? Like, you get pimples, acne, and whatever, right? And scars and all those things, right? And you that's where it becomes an insecurity. Again, not gonna judge if anyone out there in the audience feels that way, but that's what an insecurity is, when you can't literally do the thing that you love because you don't have this certain thing. So if the person, for example, doesn't have their makeup on and can't even step 3 feet out the door, right? And they're afraid, that's an insecurity, right? Um, and again, it sounds as though, like, man, that's a bunch of nonsense, right? That people can feel like that. Honestly, I feel like everyone feels that way. It doesn't even have to be makeup. It can be a job. It can be a skill, like you're cooking, doing laundry, or whatever, right? And you just feel insecure if you don't get to do this certain thing, right? And again, it happens to all of us at some point, one way or another. So I'm not shizing on anyone if that had happened to you at some point. I'm guilty of it as much as everyone else, right? Because we have our own thing. We always do something the way that not everyone is gonna like, and um, that's understandable, right? Because it happens, right? The thing that I noticed here with whoever left the comment here, so this person has toners, moisturizers, hyaluronic acid, possibly, and all these products, right? The thing is, this person here, right? We always have to consider how much of it does this person have, right? Whoever left the comment, how many products do you have? If you have 4 or 5, that's a normal, consistent thing. If you have 30 for um for one day, hold on, let me just go ahead and turn that off, guys. I apologize. Um, Sorry, there's a lot going on in the studio. So anyway, what we have here is, think about it. If you have 4 makeup products, that's okay, right? 4 or 5 topical agents. But if you use 30, literally on the same hour, literally within the same hour, just for that one day, yo, is that what you can consider the normal thing, right? Is that considered normal? Like, is that considered something that people can do within a certain time, right? And all just to cover up oneself for the span of a couple hours to even the whole day, right? So you can kind of see the issue there when it comes down to that. Sorry, guys, if I apologize. The studio's getting busy. But you know an insecurity, that's an insecurity, right? So again, check first. Whoever left the comment, check first your products. You can already tell, since you asked me for help, like, take a look at the products that you got. What can be considered too much, right? And think of it in a way where you're not being judged. Just look at it and say, is this a lot? Sometimes just even counting them, and you can already tell the difference between normal and insecurities, right? And then the thing is also, this person here left, I'm afraid of being judged by everyone around me. Now, the deal is there, right? I'm afraid of being judged by everyone around me, right? I don't know if this person is exaggerating. I'm not so sure if he or she is. Again, being gender neutral here, but everyone around you, again, people judge, right? But that's how it is, right? People judge, and why should we be afraid if we have that confidence to say this happened to me, right? How can other people judge and all that stuff, right? And why should we be afraid of other people's judgment when other people live their lives and it doesn't matter? Like, literally, you can look at someone else and say, hey, that's your life, deal with it, right? This is my life, I got my own shiz, it doesn't matter to me, right? As much as it matters to the other person, right? So really, if you look at that, if you boil down to what's literally happening there, right? Again, insecurities, they do come about, right? And it depends, it's mostly centered on when things are becoming too much. Too much of doing this, too afraid of doing that, right? Because of something that you didn't do, right? So honestly, the way you can say that for this person, the way you can say that it's an insecurity is you look at your products, you put on too many products on a normal basis, all right? And you're too afraid to step out if you don't have it. And that can apply to everything. Anything can be an insecurity. When you put too much on something, it's not too little, right? Too little, that means a lack of confidence. But too much, that's what an insecurity boils down to, right? Now, you know, I don't know how many of you guys out there have certain things, right? I've seen people get insecure about their cooking, right? They're afraid of being judged about the way they cook. Or sometimes they're afraid of being judged of how they do the laundry. They're afraid of how they walk. They get insecure about how they people walk. People get insecure about the way that they think, right? Doesn't even have to be something that we can see to showcase that that's an insecurity, right? And I just feel kind of, disheartened and sad to, to see people and they get afraid of something that is just like a potential, It's just like a possibility. And, why should we let that stop us from doing what we love, right? So, why should we let how we feel when we don't have a certain thing stop us from doing what we love, right? Let's be practical, let's be logical about things, right? And again, I'm not imposing judgment on anyone who's felt insecure because everyone's guilty of it at some point, right? But there is a fine line to knowing when this insecurity is okay for the time being and when it's got to stop, right? Because ultimately, when it boils down to moving on with our lives, we shouldn't let our insecurities hold us back, right? um and with makeup, right, I've seen people can spend like hours on time doing that kind of thing. And understandable at some points, but other times it's just got to stop, right? Things have got to get moving along, right? Your insecurities shouldn't bind you to you know a certain thing, a certain habit, a certain product or whatever, right? um and there is a better way around it, right? But now many of you guys are asking, Mr. T, how do I get rid of it, right? Because yeah, an insecurity can become a mental problem, but it doesn't have to be, right? In fact, sometimes, and I know I make it sound simple as though it's easy to ditch, right? It's not necessarily, right? Because an insecurity can become a habit, right? And a habit is much harder to break, right? But again, it boils down to just three simple steps. Number one, um take a step back. When you're used to doing something an insecurity during a time of day, take a step back first, even just a couple seconds and a couple minutes, and just look around. What did you put there, right? Let's say, for example, I'm just going to use makeup as an example because to talk to this person and to talk to anyone out there who feels the same way. But it can apply to any insecurity. So again, the first step is to take a step back. Take a step back from the insecurity, because usually when an insecurity becomes a habit tends to happen at a certain time of day, right? So if you want to ditch the habit, the insecurity, take a step back from doing it just for a couple seconds, you know, and then for a couple, or if possible, a couple minutes, right? And if you can hold back, and then you can feel okay, then you're fine. That's not an insecurity. But if you can't hold back and you're really tempted to do that thing, you're tempted to put makeup on or whatever, right? um then that's a sure sign that that's an insecurity, right? That first step will tell you, it will help you identify, am I being insecure about something, or is this just a one-time thing, right? You know, and the reason why you gotta do that is because I don't want you to mistaken an insecurity for a like mistaken between like an insecurity and a hobby, right? A hobby is different, right? Because you can't get insecure, for example, like with reading or draw or doing art, playing video games or whatever, right? That's a hobby, right? That's something to be fun in, have fun in. But a hobby shouldn't hurt the same way an insecurity does, right? You know, when you're insecure about something, you feel it's like withdrawal. You know, it's like you're addicted to it. It becomes habitual at one point, and then you get addicted to it, and then you feel bad just because you didn't do it, right? You feel afraid, you feel scared, frightened. And again, I'm not saying that that's BS, because it happened. We got to move past that, right? And you want to move past that. So again, check if it really is an insecurity. Take a step back and say, if you feel okay, you're not insecure. It's a hobby, have fun with it, right? Put on all the makeup you want, try it out, right? And have fun with it, right? That's the whole point. It's a hobby. But if you feel hurt and afraid, hell no, step back again, because that's an insecurity, right? And now you're probably wondering what the next step is, and most people say ditch the habit, right? Ditch the insecurity. That's the mistake that people make. You don't just ditch it the same way you can. The same. It's like telling a smoker, "Hey, you gotta stop smoking a pack of cigarettes," or "Hey, lay off the bottle for the day." Right? That's not how it works, right? Because just the pressure, the withdrawal is enough to hurt you, right? You're gonna feel moody and all that BS, right? And all that stuff, and it doesn't feel good, right? So instead of just cutting off from the insecurity entirely, lessen it, right? And I guarantee you, any insecurity can be lessened in some way. If, for example, you put on makeup, put on the ones that are essential, right? The ones that are essential to the face, right? Like for example, I know someone who puts on like just 4 or 5 products, and the body just restores itself, like over time, with the assistance of the products, right? You don't need to put on all of them at the same time, right? Because like I said about the body, it's got a natural way of fixing itself. And if you overwhelm it, right, the body can't handle it, right? And I'm using makeup as an example for whoever left the comment, right? So again, you know, um, lessen the amount that contributes to the insecurity, right? Lessen the products, go down to the essentials, right? Or so let's say, for example, with cooking, right? Lessen the emotion, lessen the judgment, right? Take a step back and lessen all those thoughts in the head, right? And just lessen it and think of others, right? Think of what's happening around you. For example, the insecurity is cooking again, right? you know Other people can do it too, right? Other people have the potential, right? And you shouldn't feel so insecure about that, in that the way to be the best chef, to be the best cook, is to listen to other people, right? Because if you cook for yourself, it's not as pleasing without other people, right? Because you help other people, right? So just lessen certain things, right? If it comes down to makeup, lessen the products that you need, do the ones that are essential. If it comes down to something like a skill or whatever, lessen your thought that I'm being judged, right? Because then you're falling into a trap, right? You're not gonna see eye to eye, you're not gonna open your mind to whatever is going on around you, right? You're not open to critique. You think of critique as criticism, right? And then you end up being the jackie, right? You end up being the one who looks like BS, right? So again, it all boils down to less is more, right? Insecurities thrive on getting too much of something, right? But y'all gotta lessen that, right? At least for a little bit, right? I'm not saying that that's gonna be easy. I am saying though that that's gonna be possible, right? And again, try it out with anything, whether it be an insecurity that you can see or an insecurity that's not, like a skill, right? So lessen it. And then it boils down to the third step, right? after you tell if it's an insecurity, after you take the chance to lessen it, right? The third thing is to, reflect on why you did that in the first place, right? Because why did you get into it, right? What happened? Usually, when it comes down to mental health, it starts from somewhere, right? It can be from another person, it can be from another figure, it can be from a friend, and it could be from something you see on TV, whatever, right? It's different from the anxiety podcast that I did a couple days ago, right? That I posted a couple days ago, right? Again, those three steps were: you find out where the source is, right? You find out where the source is, you check if it's rational or rational, and then from there, make a plan if it is, and if it ain't, accept that it happened, right? It's a little bit backwards when it comes down to insecurities, right? You gotta, again, um first off, identify what it is, what the insecurity is, if it really is one, or if it's a hobby, right? And then literally, you just have to lessen it, right? Lessen the habit, lessen the insecurity of what you do. And again, why did you do it in the first place, right? What led to it, right? What led to that insecurity, right? For all you know, it could have been a hobby, right? It could have been a hobby, just became a problem, right? You got so good. Let me tell you like a situation where why I accept when insecurities happen. So again, back to makeup. One example where it could have been okay was that this person got into it as a hobby, right? They get into using all these products. Hey, you see these celebrities do them. You see them using them. You see them on TikTok, Instagram. Again, not criticizing those either. And then you literally go ahead and try them out, right? And then you try out all these products and you look good, right? You look awesome, you look cool, you look hip, you look fresh or whatever, right? And then all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden, and this usually happens, for example, when you get into like middle school, high school, and then people start to judge you, right? All of a sudden, those products don't become a hobby. They became a necessity, right? And then you put them on and you maintain the look, right? But then all of a sudden, you start to become like afraid, just because of the fact that you don't have them on, right? That hobby suddenly became an insecurity, right? That hobby suddenly became something that you're afraid that you don't do, right? That you got to do it at some point, right, during the day, just so that you can feel that sense of joy or whatever, right? That's why I said I ain't gonna judge where it came from. I can only advise on what you can do to at least tell if this is gonna be a problem later on. So hey, whoever left this comment, again, if your parents keep shizzing on you, think about it, right? It all boils down to stepping back and thinking, right? I don't know if you're an older gen or a new gen, but we got time to think, right? We have all the time to do that, right? Think before you act, right? So again, with your parents, maybe they're pointing something out, right? Again, I ain't gonna blame whatever is happening with other adults, right? But they might be saying something that you gotta take a look at, right? Um, and then again, check first if you feel insecure. Check first if you can go up to your makeup cabinet and take a step back from it, right? During that time of day you usually do it, because that's the telltale sign of when something happened, right? If you feel okay, go for it, enjoy it, enjoy your hobby, enjoy what you love. If you feel a little bit insecure, if you feel a little bit hampered, afraid, you feel frightened, you feel worried, you feel like you're having withdrawal, that's a sign, right? That's a major sign. And then again, you know, because this is a physical insecurity, lessen the products. And I'm not gonna state which ones they are, but lessen them, right? Do the essential ones, the ones that absolutely with certainty, right? That is meant to be for the body, right? Essential to the body, not essential for the people out there, because society can be messed up sometimes, right? Do the ones that is for you and not for other people, right? use those products, right? And again, for anyone out there who's insecure about a skill, again, lessen the idea that I'm being criticized, right? That ain't gonna help you. You ain't gonna learn if someone is not gonna help you out, right? You ain't gonna learn if someone cannot point out something, right? Because that's dangerous if you don't think of other people's opinions, right? Because, right, some may not work out. You know which ones that aren't. But some people, they got good opinions. They got your back. And that's the one you gotta listen to. So again, when it boils down to the insecurity, again, really take the time to lessen it, right? And back to this person over here, lessen the products, do the ones that you need, right? Use them. And then the third thing you gotta do to really try and get rid of this insecurity is really think about where in the world it came from, right? Opposite of anxiety, where you find where it came from first, here you find out where it came from last, okay? The reason why is because you're already in it, right? And it's addiction. You don't question like, oh, where did it come from, right? No, because they're not thinking, right? You're addicted. You're insecure, and then you feel the symptoms, right? And when the withdrawal happens, you're not thinking, right? You got to wean off a little bit and then reflect on where did it come from. That's the order, right? And it boils down just to that. Where did it come from? And how can you avoid this, right? And again, when it comes down to society, hey, people can suck sometimes. People can judge, and they are entitled to that, right? They're entitled to that, and we want to feel that other people can feel the same way as us, right? But what about the things that are wrong for us, right? What if we're actually doing something that's wrong, right? And that's what is the strength of insecurity, is that people don't want to hear what other people have to say, right? And they feel insecure just because it's something there that contrasts. It's like they're gonna argue, right? Doesn't have to be makeup, can be a skill, right? And those who are insecure, if they don't think, they're actually closed-minded, right? And literally it can happen to anybody, but again, it doesn't have to. If it happened, it happened. That's it, right? But what needs to happen now is to tell, is this gonna hurt me? Because honestly, this shouldn't hurt me, right? What you love to do shouldn't hurt you. Because if it does, why do it, right? Why do it, right? And if it was something that you loved before, again, think back to what made it a problem, right? Was it society who made it a problem? Was it your parents that made it a problem? Was it someone else? Yada yada, right? And that's really the best advice I could give you. That step-by-step process. I'm gonna leave it here I'm gonna post it here. I'm gonna edit the examples here, as well as the steps on how to get rid of insecurities. Just because, like I said, I have a lot to say. And the idea that I don't want you to forget it, right? And again, no judgments here. If you were scared at one point, if you're insecure at one point, it does not matter to me. Literally at Convos, what we do is the truth, right? We just try and make it known for other people to at least, have a chance, right? Because you shouldn't be hindered by a simple product. You shouldn't be hindered by a skill that you love to do, right? And then other people made it a problem, or we ourselves made it a problem, right? And that's not the whole point. We ain't moving along if we don't find a solution, right? So that's my best advice to whoever it is out there, and also to other people out there who feel that same way, who feel insecure. Totally normal to feel it at some point, right? But if it's gonna hurt, I gotta stop that shit. It's gotta stop, right? So before I end off this episode, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and play this soundtrack, just because I feel I want to lighten the mood. And also, I just saw this here over on YouTube, and I want to give my shout out to the artist here. He made some pretty sick beats. and that's gonna be it for this episode of Convos. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I apologize if there was some if you heard some action over here in the studio. Again, when you have your family, who I still love, when you have all these wonderful people going around, again, I'm not gonna interrupt. I'm not gonna edit them out because, like I said, that's the truth, right? Things are going on in the studio, and my truth is just to get this out here for you guys. And I think based on the recordings, I think my voice is loud enough for you guys to hear. And again, I wish the mic can pick up the emotion, but to be honest, I'm kind of monotone sometimes, so you might not always hear the emotion. But again, I feel what I feel, and I feel for you guys, and I'm always gonna be there to support you. My voice may sound awesome or shizzy or not to you guys, but know that I got your back always. Okay. And again, with insecurities, again, they shouldn't stop us, right? And I really do not feel that people should be stopped. Many people should continue to do what they love, right? Just don't let it become a problem later on, right? And if you feel that any way, or you want more advice, again, I'm always here. And I'm always gonna find an expert who can, help you out, right? And again, I don't like to use hardline terms. I'm just stating the facts the best way that I can. And again, insecurities, all these guys, mental health is literally not something to be ashamed of, right? It's something that's out there in the world, right? Especially now. That's why I do this, and that's why other people ask for help, right? And I'm glad, because people are coming out in a way that will change the world. Hey, this is gonna be our world, right? All in all, that's the truth, right? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any comments, leave them down in on YouTube. If you guys want to DM me, again, my social media. Just go to the About page on the Convos main page, and then leave them over there, and I'll be glad to help you out always. Okay, right? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like, share, sub, much love. I will see you all at the next episode. This is Mr. T signing off, I should say. I hope I was able to answer this person's comment. I hope I was able to give you guys a sense of hope, that insecurities, all these guys, mental health is literally not something to be ashamed of, right? It's something that's out there in the world, right? Especially now. That's why I do this, and that's why other people ask for help, right? And I'm glad, because people are coming out in a way that will change the world. Hey, this is gonna be our world, right? All in all, that's the truth, right? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any comments, leave them down in on YouTube. If you guys want to DM me, again, my social media. Just go to the About page on the Convos main page, and then leave them over there, and I'll be glad to help you out always. Okay, right? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please like, share, sub, much love. I will see you all at the next episode. This is Mr. T signing off, I should say. I hope I was able to answer this person's comment. I hope I was able to give you guys a sense of hope, that your problem is not a problem. There's always a solution, and there's always some way to go about it, right? So much love, everyone, and I will see you all at the next episode. Pardon what do you call it? The noise in the studio. But this is Mr. T signing off. Peace.